That was a great session with Jason and Simon.
That's very good. Let's hope we can be as good.
Hi, my name's Nina Dean. I'm head of the Global Level 3 support team. I've been with Anaplan just over 5 years and I'm based here in the York office.
And hello, I'm Harvey Whitford. I'm the Senior QA Manager here in York and I manage a team of QA analysts. I've been with Anaplan for 18 months now. So Nina, tell us about L3.
So Level 3 support is part of the Global Customer Care organisation. We work alongside the product support and hypercare teams to provide a kind of consolidated customer support experience. Our frontline product support teams receive about 600 cases a week, of which about 7% of those are transferred through to the Level 3 support team. And they're usually kind of the more technical, complex issues that need a bit more of a deeper dive into the product or the platform to be able to diagnose or resolve those. And our analysts are positioned around the globe so that we can provide follow the sun support. They're also trained up. It takes about 6 months to train an L3 analyst to be able to support all the features of the product. However, the product's so vast now and growing so quickly that we need to have kind of subject matter experts for each major area of the product, and we bring in those guys for additional support for those most complex issues. As a customer, you're probably interested in how we prioritise your issues, and that happens at that front line when you first log that case with product support. There's 4 different severity levels, but what makes a real significant difference to us is if you can, as a customer, if you can explain to us how that issue is impacting your users and how it's impacting your business processes so that we can more accurately assess the criticality of those issues. So the product support teams are great and they will try to resolve your issue, but if they're unable to do that, then they'll pull in the senior analysts who have slightly more kind of deeper skills within the product. And if they're unable to resolve, they'll gather the information needed to then transfer it through to the Level 3 support team. When a case reaches Level 3, we actually reprioritise it. So we'll take into account all the information that you as the customer has given our product support team, and we'll review that, but we'll also review it in terms of how we think that particular issue may potentially impact other customers or our production environment based on known issues and things, or we may reassess that severity and increase it if we think we need to. Our absolute priority though is to make sure that all customers are up and running at all times and that you're able to complete your business processes successfully. We may need to bring in expertise from other teams like QA or the engineers to be able to help us to do that, but ultimately Level 3 own that resolution of that case, so we'll make sure that we resolve the issue by whatever means that we can. So additionally, part of our role is to be the voice of the customer internally. I like to say that we represent the customer to engineering and engineering to the customer, and we're kind of those middlemen that have the relationships with all of the teams. So we work very closely with customer success, QA, engineers, product, ops. Our analysts also know the product kind of end to end, back to front. We understand how the customers interact with the product and the product with the platform. Given all that knowledge and those relationships gives us more kind of a holistic view to be able to judge the severity of the issue. And then we take that to the triage meetings that we hold with the dev leads and the product owners on a weekly basis, where we work through all the customer issues that we've seen that week and we'll prioritise, come up with a strategy for each, and then Level 3 will then feed that back to the customer. So about 60% of what we do is casework. Kind of the majority of the rest of the time we spend it on project work and what we call supportability. And supportability is how we refer to the work that we do pre-release to ensure that every change, feature, service is fully supportable before it reaches our customers. And we also make sure that all the support teams are ready to be able to respond to any questions or concerns that they might get. So we get involved at the early stages with the R&D teams, and we'll put our requirements forward for that. So that might include specific logging or tools that we need to be able to copy data from customer environments to our environment to be able to investigate, or it might be providing guidance on how a feature or something might interact with the current production processes. But level 3 are involved through the entire release process, and we represent the customer and support experience at each stage. And because we're involved in that entire release journey, we have really close relationships with all those teams. So as well as triaging, we will meet to review changes for upcoming releases. So for example, we meet with QA and engineers and product, and we go through the detail of each change, and we discuss the impact that it may have either direct or indirectly on a customer, the potential impact it might have on the production environment. We'll give guidance on what kind of testing we think might be required given our knowledge of how customers interact with the product. And we'll also advise on what needs to be done in order to bring the support teams up to speed for that change. And then once we've done that part, we'll work with the tech ops teams, our technical operations team, to ensure that the customer impact is appropriately assessed and accounted for during the deployment stages. We also work regularly with our tech ops team, very closely actually, to ensure that the production environment is always running smoothly. So for example, hardware issues are a collaboration between the team to ensure minimal impact on the customer. And both teams, for example, have alerting and monitoring in place to be able to detect major issues or bubbling trends that might occur. So to wrap that up, we're kind of 100% customer first, but to be able to truly do that, we need to work very closely with the R&D teams. And as I said, one of those teams is QA, who incidentally have just pinched one of our analysts.
Yes, thank you very much.
So Harvey, how do you and your team work for our customers?
Righty-ho, so thank you, Nina. So QA, so what do we do? To begin with, it's probably worth me explaining a little bit how we set our teams out, what our mission is, and then about how we work and how we interact with various of the other teams. So we have 3 teams globally. Here in York, we have a team who concentrate on core, the new user experience, as Jason mentioned earlier, and also core client and personal save dashboards. We have a team in San Francisco and also a team in London, and our director of QA is based in London. She has to travel around all 3 sites, so spends a lot of the time in the air, unfortunately. We are independent teams, but we're within the engineering organisation, so we have a bit more of an independent voice over whether we think a change has reached the appropriate quality, which is important, and we work very closely with L3 to ensure that the change meets the expected standard. Now, as regards our mission, is to ensure change is delivered to production with high quality. So it's delivered fast, but appropriate quality. And if we have to delay a release to get a change into the right level of quality, then we will do so. But we prefer to work much earlier with the other teams to ensure that that is reached early. As part of our role, we champion quality delivery in everything we do, and that means we have to interact with so many different teams. And as Simon and Jason mentioned earlier, continuous improvement is a very large focus at Anaplan. So we're looking to improve on everything that we actually do. So incremental improvements to raise the standard of what we do for our customers. But what do the actual QA do? What do we do day to day? So here are a few of the points that we concentrate upon. We analyse and test the impact of proposed change to production and for our customers. So we're looking at the range of ways that our customers use Anaplan for the different business purposes and business scenarios, and then we are testing the platform to ensure that it will operate as intended. We design test scenarios with engineering so that these can be automated, so that we're driving towards this concept of continuous integration and ultimately continuous delivery with very, very high automated test coverage. We test and sign off fixes for defects, and we very often demonstrate those fixes to L3 as a further validation to ensure that we've tested not only the issue but around the issue and tested it in different ways, because Anaplan being so flexible, you can use the product in so many different ways in different businesses. a number of the QA team have been at Anaplan for many, many years, so they have deep, deep knowledge. One of them has been here over 9 years now, so one of the very early team back in what was it, 2010 it was. So they have very, very deep knowledge of how to build Anaplan models. So what they often do is they're building these realistic test models so that can be used during development by the engineers, so that we can test change early with very realistic models. And of course, as Anaplan becomes more and more used, it's very important that we performance and load test sanitized models. So these are customer models that are sanitized, and also synthetic models, so that we can optimize the performance of Anaplan's platform and services, so that it continues to operate at very high standards for our customers. Who do we work with? We have our own honeycomb, where we interact with a number of different departments. Our analysts are embedded with the software engineering teams, so that they're at all the, as it were, all the agile ceremonies that Jason mentioned earlier, like the stand-ups, the refinements and the retros. They work with product owners, and you're going to hear from a couple of product owners soon. So we do early analysis of change to understand whether the change that's been proposed is going to deliver the right value to the customers. They work with program over scheduling releases, so that we look to combine the right change appropriately for a release, so that we can de-risk change to production. We work, as we mentioned, very closely with L3 over a number of different things. This includes investigating customer issues, reviewing how we release software to production, evaluating the risk of change to production, be that software change or infrastructure change. And we work very closely with the user experience team, as you'll have heard from Alicia and Greg and Pam, over testing the designs, the proposed designs for user experience, and to ensure compliance for accessibility. And finally, we also work with the content teams to ensure that the content that's released with releases and to Anapedia is correct and accurate and appropriate. So that sort of gives you an idea of how we fit within the organisation and the different teams that we interact with. We've got a couple of calls to action as well that we'd like to pick out, because getting feedback from you, our customers, is absolutely crucial to how we can test the product and ensure that we're delivering the right change to production. So do you want to start with one of yours?
Yeah, so it would be great if everybody could subscribe to our status.anaplan.com page for real-time platform updates, but also try and subscribe to known issues on the community. That will give you the latest information for workarounds and fixes.
Yes, we also would like people to sign up for when we have beta programs. That might be to do with design and how we come out with new designs for, say, like we did for the user experience, or for programs such as how we scale Anaplan with the larger models program, which is very important that we get the feedback from you and we get it early. Now, before we end our session, we've got a few questions from our customers.
Yes, so we've got one question here. So what is the best way to track if a bug confirmed via an incident or L3 is getting fixed or included into a platform update release? So if you have logged a case with support, then you should be receiving that feedback through the case. We will also notify you via release notes for the What's New blog for the releases of all the fixes that are included and all the case numbers for those as well, so you can see whether your fix has been included within that release. We are currently working on improving our communication around this to make that much earlier for you, so that you know more, definitely what's coming and when. So that's in progress, so hopefully you should see some improvements with that over the next few months as well. Okay, so I think for our session we're
we're ready to hand over to the next group. So thank you for
Thank
joining
you
us
very much
today.
for joining us.
And stay tuned for product session after the break.